got a notice on there. I'm not sure exactly what happened. But I got some kind of notice and I couldn't see it. So I had to bring it close up to my face. How is it going, everyone? Welcome to Monday. It is Monday, January 19, 2026, I believe. I think I wrote something earlier and it's the 19th. So yes, it's the 19th for a little bit longer. Welcome to My Heart Mondays. I'm back with part 2 of our mind renewal series. This is a short series, actually. I only have 3 parts. And I didn't quite write as much for this section. As you can see, I literally just started writing like 15 minutes ago. But I feel the reason is because I'm in recovery presently for a medical crisis that I had last month. And I figure, well, I can talk about this in real time, literally what's going on with me. And I'm definitely in recovery from other things. But this is what we're getting into today. Recovery and recalibration from a toxic mental space. Now, there's so much. Y'all, I don't know how long this video is going to be. Just FYI, get a cozy blanket, get a cup of coffee or chocolate or whatever you like, tea. Grab some paper, grab a pen, and get ready. Because I don't know. I just feel like tonight's one of those nights where it's going to be good. But I don't even know what I'm going to say. So Holy Spirit, take over. I'm ready. Recovery from my old mindset. It is a beautiful space. And yet it's a very challenging space. Recovery is a very challenging space. And at the same time, it's beautiful because I'm finally arriving to the place where healing begins. Recovery is where healing begins. And this actually, I am talking about the mindset, but this is going to apply to anything that you are recovering from. Okay, because I am going to talk mostly in generalities. But so let me share a little bit about my specific recovery recently with my health crisis. So first and foremost, this happened, I don't want to say out of the blue, because I knew I wasn't well for a little bit. I had been feeling unwell for a while. Hi, welcome everybody. Hi everybody in the chat, everyone watching live and everyone watching on the replay. Welcome to our channel. I hope you stick around. I hope you subscribe. I hope you like. I hope you share. I hope you comment and all that good jazz that everybody always says that I never say. But seriously, I do welcome you to the family. I hope you become part of the family because there's lots of goodies here for you. Lots of goodies. So yes, so I'm in recovery. I'm a few weeks into my recovery from what happened, and I have had to relearn a lot. This is interesting to me too, and I'm going to get into this because I think it's pertinent to some of your situations or some of your lives, because all of us are in recovery from something. I always say this. I say this all the time. We're all in recovery from something. Now, in my specific situation and circumstance and instance, the Lord had revealed to me that even though this was a physical health setback, this was actually a launching pad and a catapult to my health. So take that in for a minute, because this is sometimes how it has to happen for us. And of course, this happened to me in 2025. And as I shared Little did I see it coming my way in that degree. But I did say in 2025 that the Lord was doing things for us that we could not do on our own. He was going to change things by His hand to align us perfectly to where we needed to be for 2026, because 2026, as I have shared, is the beginning of a new dimension. And I don't say that lightly. And it is also a beginning of a new set of years, and I'll get into that in another video. But with that said, now that I'm this far into my recovery, and those of you that have been sick and have had a major medical crisis where you are literally in bed and can't do anything, you have a lot of time to think and a lot of time to process your life. And that is exactly what happened to me. That has happened to me on many occasions, actually, because I do and have battled chronic illness, and this is not something that's new for me. However, this was different on every level. So my recovery has actually helped me in my mindset on certain things in my life that I was still, obviously I'm in the trajectory of recovery for the things that I'm in recovery for. But this specific setback, I keep saying setback because even though for me it wasn't, it was really more of a catapult and a setup for better. This really gave me a space to revisit some things or magnify some things that I was already in the healing process of. So this stage of recovery, stage 2, okay, we're coming out of the mental detox. Okay, so I've already decided there are some things of my mental space and my mental health that are toxic, and I need to deal with them. I need to deal with them. So once I've taken that bold step, then now I'm in the process of recovering from my toxic way of thinking and processing information and all of it. Okay, so this is a very delicate space, it's a very sensitive space, and it's a very important space because this is where I'm learning to continue to take the garbage out that's still there, and at the same time I'm learning to allow myself to make space for the new. Now, the way I describe this is this is the turning point for your full victory. And how you navigate in this space is vital and important for your full recovery. Okay? I'm going to come back to where I'm at because it's the perfect example. Okay? Hi, everybody. Welcome. Feel free. I hope you guys can hear me, by the way, because I'm still using my crazy things or my crazy thing with my phone. Sorry, guys. 1 second. I'm on live, honey. What's up? Walmart with who? Okay, cool. Text me. What are they going to do with it?
Just can't get it hooked up. Saturday might as well go on for the ride. Get out of here.
Okay. So you need to go with them to Walmart, or you're just going to go with them? Okay, cool. See you later. Okay, sorry guys, I'm back. Okay, so when I first wake up from the wreckage, in this instance, my own toxic thinking, there's light. a lot of light, but also the pain from the light, which I'm not used to. I'm not used to operating or functioning in lucidity and clarity. So I feel weird, out of sorts, perhaps even sick. But the light is my healing balm and necessary for my recovery. It's my weird, not weird, it's my well lit path to freedom and the best path for me. I said weird. Actually, I did say weird earlier. I feel weird because I do feel weird in this stage because it's uncharted territories for me. When I begin to see life through new eyes, it's weird. It feels weird. It is like those of us that wear glasses. It's like wearing your glasses for the first time after you go to get a new prescription. It feels weird. You're not used to the new prescription, and everything just seems weird. This is how it feels in this stage of recovery. And I call this recovery and recalibration because it's a twofold stage. But tonight I'm talking about recovery, and I might do a second video on the second stage of this stage, because I do feel like I'm going to camp out a lot on recovery tonight. So this is the transition. There is a transitional stage before I'm fully awake in my recovery. So between detoxing, and y'all take this however it applies to your life, because this is general enough, I feel, at least the way I'm teaching it, that you can apply to any detox, any recovery that you're going through. But detox into recovery is a transition. And I want to encourage you to embrace your specific pace into this stage. It's so important to make room for your unique way to come into your healing space. When you do one-to-one sessions with me, I advocate for your tailored recovery because this is so important. Some of us understand this. Some of us have had people in our life that are not very supportive in your recovery or your detox or your whatever it is you're going through, your weakness. Let's put it that way, even though in a sense I don't want to put it that way, because I don't want to associate so much the lack of power, because actually what you're doing in recovery is you're regaining your power. So yes, perhaps you were weak in your sickness, but even that is victory. Being weak is actually a beautiful thing. And if you're humble enough to acknowledge this, it's a beautiful thing. Because you're ready to be whole. And it does take a lot of humility to get there, to say, you know what, I'm struggling, I need help, because I want to be the best version of myself. So in my recovery presently, I'm going to use my example because I feel it's going to help a lot of you. My medical scare was something that required intervention on a big scale. And so physically, I really was unable to do much for the first couple of weeks. So, as I said, I had a lot of time to really think about everything. And I had a lot of time to pray. I had a lot of time to seek the Lord on everything in my life. And as I started gaining more of my health, and I started to slowly come back to functioning in a normal capacity, I started to realize, and actually I'm not fully there yet, but what I was realizing in this space and continue to realize is I am now put in a position and have been put in a position where the things I've been praying about, the things I've been seeking the Lord and actually crying out to Him on some things, I am put in the position where they are coming to fruition for me because of my setback, because I'm not functioning the way I used to function. And quite frankly, I don't think I'm going to function the way I used to function on so many levels. This was the one for me. And I don't know what happened to you. Maybe a lot of you can relate to this. But I told you last year that the Lord was going to do what we could not do to get us in alignment and prepared for this year and everything else that's coming. So I was encouraging you. I was saying this because this, and I want to echo this a lot because some of us need to hear this. Some of us are the type that work too hard. We do too much. We're always available for everybody. And yet, where are they when we need them? Or, some of us have to get to this place where we have to have a complete overhaul in our perspective. And in my case, the Lord was showing me the final, I always like to say final touches of this specific part of my recovery, that it actually took this for me to get here. And not just in relation to others, but in relation to myself. Okay? Now, I'll share a little testimony just to kind of put this in perspective and maybe help some of you that are here as well. But in my early inner healing journey, one of the first things that I understood about myself was, because of my trauma, because of my roots, that I was in some ways a perfectionist. In this instance, I was projecting my anxiety outward, and I was trying to control environment, trying to control situations so that I could feel at peace, because I didn't understand, at that time, I didn't understand what was going on with me. I just knew that I could never feel settled. I always felt like I had to keep doing or cleaning or whatever. I always felt like I always had to be doing, because some of my roots created that trauma response in me. And this was, I don't know, 20 years ago now, actually. But this specific health scare for me really position me in such a perfect way. Again, because part of my recovery is or where I'm at in my recovery, a lot of it is in the physical realm. And that's a story for another time. But for you, it might be a different thing. But this is what I want you to take here, is that you must know and value the importance of honoring your specific recovery time. There is there's no set time. There is no set time for recovery. This is personal. This is why it's important to guard that part of you. That, yes, maybe, if you're sort of recovering from something that is well known and something that others is very general that others struggle with, there may be guidelines on when you can expect to have recovery, but at the end of the day, it's you and the Lord that are on this journey. Everyone can have their opinion, everyone can have their advice, but you must honor your personal timeline with your recovery. And if you are the type that's hard on yourself, then this is especially for you, because I am one of those that sometimes that resurfaces in me because of my roots and mother wound and father wound. I have to remember I'm doing the best I can. My body's doing the best that it can. And I need to encourage that process. I need to, and this is why we're talking about the mind, I need to remember this up here, that it's okay to take longer if I need to. Because, again, I want to be whole and victorious. If you rush your recovery in your process, you're going to miss some things. Especially, the most obvious thing is a physical injury. If you're, I'm just seeing if you guys have anything else. If you're, for example, an athlete or a dancer, which I used to be, and you come back too soon from an injury, you don't let that leg rest. You don't let that leg rest. You don't let that ankle heal properly, because I got to get back to it. They're missing me. I'm missing it. You're going to set yourself back even further. So my encouragement here in this space is to allow yourself the time, the grace, whatever it takes to transition into recovery. Now, when it comes to the mind, my mind will only be as strong as I pour into it and what I'm pouring into it, okay? So let me use the example of actually, if you guys want to give me an example, go for it. I'm trying to think of something that's relatable. I'll use the example of, and actually I'm going to use this example because I'm going to get into this in my other class, my soul strengthening sessions. If I grew up with the message, that's the right word I want to use. If I grew up with the message that I was not good enough, okay, this is, and let's say I heard this in my childhood. If I heard I was not good enough, or I never measured up to, let's say, my mom's expectations. This, and this is not even getting into like our personal love languages or our personal ways of relating to love and things like this. This is the simplicity of my parents or my guardians. Maybe for you it was your guardians or your aunts or uncle, whoever it is that raised you. These are the first voices that pour life into me, that reflect back my identity, reflect back my worth. If some of the early words I adapted into my psyche and into my self-awareness are words that tore me down, okay? I'm not good enough is the message. Maybe the words were different, but the message I received was, I'm not good enough. And I carry that into my adulthood, okay? Let's just say I carry this into my adulthood. And so I have poor self-image, poor self-awareness, all of it. This is toxic thinking, because this is not only that, but it's not even true. This was someone who had the power to influence my thinking as they were pouring into my thinking. But it is, in fact, toxic thinking. And toxic, I defined this last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. Anything that is poison that enters my thought realm. So in my detox, I begin to realize I am good enough. Again, I must remember I'm spirit first. Therefore, who's my heavenly parent? It's my Heavenly Father. And the Holy Spirit, you could say. My Heavenly Mother, if you want. What does my spiritual parental guidance say about me? Because that is truth. That doesn't waver. That has nothing to do with my performance. This is my true core identity, is my spirit. So when I come to this understanding that my worth does not fluctuate based on my performance or lack of performance. My worth is inherited. It's inherent. It is a part of my DNA. And it can't be taken away. Truly, it can't be taken away. I might be tricked out of thinking that it can be taken away based on what my earthly parents may have said. But the truth is, I'm worth more than precious jewels and rubies. I'm worth more than anything. There's no value, there's no price tag, I should say, that can be put on my worth, because it's above this realm of what we associate here on earth. So if I'm to come out of this toxic thinking, I must have, and this is what pulls me into recovery, this is what pulls me into the healing space, I must have truth. Capital T, truth. It does not waver, it does not change, it does not fluctuate based on anybody's opinion. This is reality. And in this instance, the truth is, my worth is priceless. Your worth is priceless. So going into recovery, I mean, think about this. If you had this message all your life and you've always had a very low self-esteem, you never felt confident in yourself or your accomplishments or even your own skin, your personality, anything. Coming into this new reality, and really it's not, but for you, this revelation that my worth has always been with me. It's just those that spoke over me or spoke against me or spoke to me didn't know or understand my worth. And what they spoke was falsehood. Excuse me. What they spoke was counterfeit truth because it was relative to them. It was relative truth to them. And this is an amazing space because, and I will say, this illumination happens and can only happen first and foremost through the Spirit, because that is where I get truth from. But once it hits me in the soul realm is when I begin to feel this transformation, this change. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing when the Lord opens your eyes and unveils the truth to you. Yes, I know, son, daughter, you have always heard this. You have always seen it this way. You were always told that. But that's not true. This is true. And this is where I've been leading you to. Your freedom, your victory, your triumph over this misidentity in this instance. So then I begin to exchange. I call this the divine exchange when I'm doing my one-to-one sessions. This is the fourth step. I was trying to remember my own steps. The fourth step in my recovery, in my inner healing journey. I call it the divine exchange because I'm literally giving my old and exchanging it for my new. And this is what I do in my mind, in my mental space. I surrender this old mindset in this instance that I'm sharing. I'm not good enough. For my worth is priceless. I'm giving it, saying, take it away, Lord. This deception that I've lived under, that has cost me, that has crippled me, I'm exchanging it for the truth that I am priceless. My worth is beyond any riches in this earth realm. Okay? This is recovery. For you, that message might have been something different. Now, what happens, though, if I don't choose to detox, is that I continue the sickness in the rest of my soul realm. Okay? So if I continue to believe I'm not good enough, okay, that's a thought. I'm not good enough. It pours into how I feel about myself. I feel shame. I feel less than. I feel unwanted, unloved. Okay? And so I lower, just by default, I lower my value of myself. And therefore, I begin to make decisions based on that broken self-reflection. And so I start to make poor choices. And those are endless poor choices. Well, I don't feel good enough, so I might as well just forget it. I'm not gonna finish school. I'm not going to stop smoking and drinking and doing drugs. What's the point? Nobody cares about me anyways. Who cares if it's it takes you down the darkest paths because it is toxic thinking. But when you begin to have that illumination from the, and it is from the Lord, then you begin to realize, I deserve better than this. I don't deserve to be mistreated. I don't deserve to be abused. I don't deserve to be talked to in a way that is degrading and humiliating and devaluing. I deserve better because I know my worth. They might not know my worth, but you know what? I'm awake now and I know my worth. So then you begin to change how you feel, and it kind of happens simultaneously and automatically. I begin to feel better, and therefore I begin to choose better. This is recovery. I want to see how much time. 35. Anybody still here? If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. Don't hesitate. Or if you want to share anything, I would love to hear. Recovery. Another thing I want to point out that's very important with recovery, and I'm going to use my example as well because recovering from what I'm going through is not there is sort of a timetable, a general timetable, but you also have to take into consideration your personal your personal level of ability. So there will be times that recovery feels like a setback. Or maybe you'll have days where you start to feel depressed again. You start to feel those thoughts coming in, and that's a whole other teaching, because a lot of times it is spiritual warfare coming against your progress, trying to pull you back in to the old way of doing things, the old way of thinking. But remember that even in those days that you feel like I didn't feel victory today, I didn't feel progress, you're still on the right path, as long as you stay on the right path. But show grace to yourself and be patient with your process, because it is very important. And you know what? There are seasons when you might have to isolate so that you can fully engage and tune into your recovery. Okay? A good example of this, I would say, is let's say you're recovering from I'm trying to think what. Let's say you're recovering from smoking. This is something I relate to. If you're a smoker, first of all, it's very hard to quit smoking. Okay, so well done you if you're trying to quit, because it's not easy. It is not easy. I personally, in a 5-year span, I don't know how many times I relapsed from smoking cigarettes. But in my case, and this is what I'm getting at when I'm talking about, you might have to isolate. You might have to say bye to some people for a while you're going through this. you might have to leave the environment. Okay? In my case, a lot of my smoking was encouraged because I was in an environment where everybody was smoking. So I stopped going out. I stopped going to the clubs and all that I was doing. So, but for you, it might be something else. It might be people. Might have to get away from some people for a little bit, because believe it or not everybody's excited about your health and your recovery and your changes. I'm talking to a lot of empaths right now when I say this. Not a lot of people are going to be supportive. And I don't want to say not a lot of people, because some people, I'll put it that way, some people might not be as supportive. So you might have to isolate yourself for a little bit so that you can gain some time in your recovery, gain some strength, get your bearings, get a sense of your new identity. Be patient with yourself, go at your pace, show yourself grace and love, and remember that no matter what you're recovering from, because a lot of you are recovering from a lot, you got this. You can do it. You can be victorious, and you are going to be victorious, because I speak that over you. I will be back on Wednesday for, actually, I might be back tomorrow. Yeah, soul strengthening. I'll be back tomorrow, Lord willing. Soul strengthening sessions, where I'm going to continue our series on maintaining your peace. And this is definitely a lesson I'm still learning myself. Maintaining my peace in spite of. I'll get into it tomorrow. It'll be a little surprise. I'll get into it tomorrow. And I'll see you back here. Wednesday is our anxiety, depression, recovery support. And Friday is our last day's live stream. But in the meantime, if you're interested in any of my classes or one-to-one sessions, don't hesitate to reach out. she'srestored@gmail.com, and I'd be honored to walk alongside you. Hope you're all doing well. Please feel free to say hi, and let me know if y'all need anything. I love y'all so much, and I'll be back mañana. Good night. Bye.